Okay, let us start. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame bante buri panya tathagata kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame dhamma sanditika akalika kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame sangha supatipana anuttara sadhu sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tisarana gamanang paripunang panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adina dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sura meraya majapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Nacha Gita Vadita Visukadasana Malaganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Idang me silang Magapala Jnanasa Pachayo Hotu Appamadena Sampadeta. So, okay, let us do some guided Maranasati before we start the Q&A. Tonight, not many questions. All right. Let us all relax. Relax the mind. Keep it present, calm and peaceful, open and clear. Relax the body from top of the head. Relax the forehead. Relax the face. Relax the neck. Relax the shoulders and arms. Relax the chest, stomach area. Relax the spine, the back, the hips, the buttocks, down the thighs, knees, calves, to the ankles, soles, toes. So relax the whole body. Keep the mind open, calm, peaceful, and mindful. My life is uncertain. My life is uncertain. My death is certain. My death is certain. My death is sure to come. My death is sure to come. I do not know when it will come, or how it will come, or where it will come. It will come like a thief in the night. Robs everything away. Our health, wealth, possessions, all our gains, name, fame. Separate ourselves from all the loved ones. Will take everything away. So before death comes, let me make the utmost effort to develop the mind, to develop all the wholesomeness, to abandon all the unwholesomeness before death comes knocking at our doorstep. My life is uncertain. My death is certain. All of us here too. All of us here, our lives too are uncertain. All our lives are uncertain. Our death is sure to come. Our death is certain. We cannot escape from death. And when it comes, it will take everything away. It will rob us from all our gains, fame, name, all our assets, possessions, separate all of us from our loved ones. When it will come, we do not know how or where it will come. We too do not know. So before death takes over this life, let us strive, let us develop the mind to the highest degree as possible. Develop the mind until realize the Nibbana, and we can escape from the clutches of death. So we make the utmost effort to develop the mind, to develop all the wholesomeness, and to abandon all the unwholesomeness. All beings, if they have life, truly too, they will meet with death. As long as the beings are in samsara, then all the beings will have to face with death. And then reborn all over again. So samsara is uncertain, but death is certain. So before death comes, let us all make the utmost effort to strive to develop the mind until enlightenment is achieved. To develop all the wholesomeness as much as possible, to abandon all the unwholesomeness, before death takes this life away. So life is uncertain. Death is certain. Life is uncertain, and death is certain. Let go. Let go of the reflection, the contemplation. Bring the mind back again to the body. Feel the presentness of the mind onto the rising, falling, onto the sitting, here and now. And then slowly open our eyes. All right. So there are a number of questions, but not that many. Okay. Let's start. Question 1. Doesn't the mindfulness we build up can be useful to reduce the tension built up in the body? Doesn't the mindfulness that we build up can be useful to reduce tension built up in the body? So can the mindfulness be helpful to reduce the tension? In a way, yes. In fact, there's a lot to do with mindfulness, actually. You see, when the tension builds up in the body, due to the imbalance of the faculties, let's say, and it builds up in the body, the tension when it builds up in the body is going to last. And it's going to last, say, a number of days or longer. The mind has gone into balance, already in balance. It's already balanced. Say, for example, you are meditating and then you're watching your objects, and then objects becomes strong, become very difficult, and then you put too much pressure or too much effort into it, and then the whole mind goes into a lot of imbalance. Yeah. Then with that in the background, the tension of the body starts to build up a lot. It starts to build up and build up and build up. Then because of that, you know that the tension build up, you know that the mind is also in balance. Good. So you rectify the mind, the noting mind, and a mind becomes balanced again. The noting mind becomes balanced. But the problem is that the tension of the body, it doesn't go away yet because it's already built into the body somehow. Doesn't mean that just because you are mindful or balanced, then immediately the tension goes away. Because this time, what I'm saying here is already built up for a number of days. As things are already built up, and then that type of tension becomes like a physical, unpleasant feelings. So it stays there. So sometimes it makes meditation difficult to do, which is true. But how does the mindfulness help them? Now the mindfulness begin to notice that all this tension and balance and imbalance of the state of mind That means it knows the mind, it knows the body. Yeah. Then we keep on build up that mindfulness, a soft, calm, clear mindfulness. Yeah. Not the active type of mindfulness, but more of a calm type of mindfulness. So with that calm type of mindfulness, that means that there comes together with more uh, relaxation, more equanimity, more tranquility, more a bit of samadhi or concentration, that area as aspect. Then we incorporate that together with the mindfulness. So together with that mindfulness, then sometimes after a day or two or three, because of that mindfulness and you building up, then slowly and slowly the tension starts to reduce because of your because of the mindfulness that's noticing all these things is happening. Yeah. So when the mindfulness is there, yeah, it helps a lot of things. Yeah. Yeah. Generally, when we say that if the mindfulness is strong, usually most of the time the mind is in balance. It's in balance if the mindfulness is strong. When the mindfulness is not strong, then that can be a problem. And that can be a problem at times. Yeah? Hold on. Now, again here, tension that builds up in the body, yeah, you have to bear it through. And because of the imbalance of the faculties, you have to bear it through for a while. But here again, the acceptance of the nature of the tension that builds up and it kind of linger around. As long as you don't fight it or suppress it, rather, as long as you don't suppress it, you begin to more like being able to accept it. Yeah. The acceptance, another word for acceptance is mindfulness, because you're accepting it in the present moment. Yeah. So your acceptance of it. Now here, when the mindfulness is able to accept it, it already creates a lot of balancing that's taking place. Yeah? Then it will slowly reduce the tension. So that's why the mindfulness is always important. Whatever that you are doing in this vipassana meditation or even samatha meditation. So that's why when we build up this vipassana meditation, we always begin by mindfulness. Mindfulness, and more mindfulness. The more mindfulness that you have, it's easier for you to rectify a lot of problem in the future. It's easier for you to progress also. Yeah? But the problem that comes in also have to do with mindfulness, like imbalance of faculties, too much effort, too much concentration. All we need to do is more mindfulness. Yeah? So in a way, it reduces the tension in the body. Yeah? It is not so like keep on fighting that type of attitude. But more able to accept what is going on. All right. Okay. Next question. When observing memories of the past unwholesome actions or speech, often there is a tendency for the mind to push them away due to the fear of bad karma and also shame and regret on having performed these actions. Could Bhante kindly advise the best approach to handle these memories? Okay. When observing memories of the past unwholesome actions or speech, often there is a tendency for the mind to push them away due to the fear of bad karma and also shame and regret of having performed these actions. So how we deal with it? Yeah. Here again, mindfulness again, acceptance of it again. You see, in our practice, especially when especially when the mindfulness gets stronger, uh, especially when the mindfulness gets stronger, then what happens is that your memories or your planning or your thoughts all become very clear. I'm not to say very clear, but clearer than before. Okay, clearer than before. And sometimes some yogis also notice that the clear aspect of it, even like things that actions or places that you have gone or things that you cannot remember during your everyday life, but you can able to recall them back in your in your meditation. Yeah. During in your meditation, you can recall them back. And sometimes when you recall them back, it feels so clear. Yeah. You can see faces. You can see yourself inside it. You can see a lot of things that's happening there. Yeah. Clearly that this one. Yeah. But the thing is that sometimes our mind can change the whole scenery. Yeah, and change it to suit to your current thing, Sometimes you did something wrong in the past. Yes, you know that there's something wrong. But while you're meditating right now, sometimes you want to change the story. You change the story so that it makes things better. Yeah. Sometimes you try to do a lot of editing inside there. We re-edit the whole story all over again to suit to our needs and wants, Now, this type of memories, this type of past memories, and especially when you did something wrong and you know that it's terrible that you have done it, yeah? You know it's terrible right now because you have the Dharma right now. The problem is that in the past, we do not have the Dharma. We are deluded here and there. Yeah? All kinds of wrong action and speech or thinking that we have done. Yeah? Uh, so, so the thing is that right now when you are meditating, this type of memories pop up again. And this type of memories pop up again. Now, if you are not a meditator, and this type of memories pop up in your everyday life, then you get very sad. You can feel a lot of regret. Your mood and your emotional aspect begins to have a lot of sadness and a lot of all these type of regrets and so on. Yeah. And with that, actually, what happened is that right in the present moment, when you're recalling those things, and right now you are sad and you are this one, then again you create fresh karma because you do not know how to handle those memories, and it create fresh karma again, unwholesome karma, which because of the sadness, because of the fear, because of the shame that arises, all together, and then it goes into the future. Then it goes into the future again. Let's say you think about all the past memory, and yet at the same time you cannot able to control it. You do not know how to control them. Then it produces even more karma. That means you keep one cycle again and again and again and again and again and again and again throughout the whole samsara. Yeah? Because do not know how to stop them. Now that is where the mindfulness comes in. That where we able to begin to stop all these type of things from happening. Not we don't stop the memory, but we stop the present unwholesome karma or mental karma. It's not the memory that we are stopping. The problem is most of us is that when this type of memories come in, we try to suppress it. And when we suppress it, again, here we're doing with a lot of aversion, a lot of anger. And then sometimes we suppress it too much and then it explodes again. Then, our mind go crazy. Go into a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, and so on. That's very unhealthy to the mind. So the mindfulness comes in to help us to rectify this whole situation. Now, how does the mindfulness help to overcome this problem? Now, here again, this is the acceptance part of it. Acceptance and mindfulness is synonymous. Acceptance and mindfulness is synonymous. That means right now, if those memory comes up in your walking or in your sitting, and it's a very things that you've done something wrong in the past, and it becomes very clear in the present. Right now is that mindfulness comes in, being aware of it. You be aware of it, and you don't fight with it. Don't try to suppress it because it is a prominent object right now. You learn to feel your regret at this moment of time, because doesn't mean that this type of mindfulness come in is suddenly all your regret gone. It's not so fast yet, but we are building up. We learn to deal with this type of thoughts, because the noting mind or ourself has to get used to this type of thoughts. So when we get used to this type of thoughts, when it comes in, we put the mindfulness there, we're aware of it, we learn to accept it. If the anger arises or the sadness arises, we take note of it again and again. Sadness, or anger, or fear, or seeing, or memories. Pay attention to it again and again. And you need to do that in order to face it again and again. First few times, you're going to fail. Because all this emotion is going to overwhelm you. All this emotion is going to overwhelm you. Tears is going to come out or whatever. So your job during that time is to make sure that when it is come up, make sure that you pay attention to it again and again. With mindfulness. Don't try to suppress it first few times. Now, once you gain more and more mindfulness with all your practice and so on, then in the future, with these same thoughts that arises, all this memory arises, then because of the mind is much more stronger, you pay attention to it, because the mind knows how to deal with it. The mind knows how to being aware of it. So it takes up this object right now. And here, when the mindfulness is there, it notices the memory. Then at times, you may feel that the emotion aspect of it or the regret aspect of it begin to lessen and lessen. It doesn't affect you that much anymore, but still a little bit. Okay, it's still a little bit. Then, in the future, if it comes up again, then this time when your mindfulness has developed further, then what happened is that the same memory is going to come up. But right now, when you pay attention to it, no regret, no sadness, no this one. In other words, your mind is healed from it. That means that the thoughts does not affect you anymore. You see, it's not the memory we try to suppress. We always catch the snake at the wrong end. Which end is supposed to catch the snake? In this part, in this, a lot of all these type of memories, that's where a lot of times when people out there, you you forget about the present emotion that is actually is affecting you. It's connected to the memory, because a lot of us thought that just by suppressing that memory, then all the emotions become well and good. No, it doesn't go like that. Yeah. Vipassana is a different. Vipassana is the way of seeing the present conditioning, the present anger, present unwholesome mental states, and come up. And then we learn to pay attention to it. We learn to aware of it. We learn to accept it. We learn to see it again and again. It begins to getting lesser and lesser. In the future, when the same thing comes up, it doesn't affect you anymore. Mm. These type of things, many yogis do see that thing. Yeah? It's the same type of memories when it comes up in the past, it really knocks you left and right. You cannot meditate. Yeah? Or even worse, if before you meditate, those type of thoughts is even very strong, very powerful to you. But this is where we slowly heal ourselves from all these things. But we don't forget. In fact, it becomes clearer. Clearer to let you see that next time in the future, don't do it again. It gets you. It becomes so clear. You see that every time it's so clear, and then all the emotion that comes again, then you become wise up, become wiser, because you see the cause effect all the while, like that. And then you have to meditate and then to reduce it. Then therefore, in future, when you see these type of things, you begin to, because of you see the true nature of what is happening, you know how to naturally how to pull yourself away from that thing, yeah, away from this unwholesome action, unwholesome speech, unwholesome thought. Not you just have to read from the book. Oh, this one unwholesome, let's do it. But you're just following the book right now. You follow somebody talking, which also is good, not to say it's bad, but you do not know what is the condition behind it. So as a Vipassana yogi, yeah, our prevention is because of one of these things is because of we directly see the nature of all this cause effect that's happening in the mind, whether it's wholesome or unwholesome. So the wholesome part, we perform more. We know that this when we recall the wholesome part of it, the joy and the faith arises. And that joy and the faith arises. Sometimes this joy and faith, you put all the thoughts aside, you keep the joy and faith, you put it into your noting, then the noting becomes much more better. So it becomes a foundation for this one. So if it's an unwholesome one, then we don't forget, but we stop the present one. We begin to stop the present one, it don't create any more further unwholesome karma. That means for that one, it actually stopped. Yeah? So it's good. Yeah? So it's good in that way. All right, let's us go to the next question. Is there other ways or not? There are other ways now. Not to say that this is only way, but the Vipassana way is a very deep way in the sense that it you have to see you have to truly see its nature. Whereas other ways sometimes we use reflection, we use recall the Dhamma. It's still good, not to say it's bad, but the way of Vipassana is to directly, truly see the whole thing as they are. Then it gives rise to another type of truly a deeper aspect of understanding. Yeah? Okay. Next question. Number 3. It is said that the Theravada tradition of Bhikkhunis Vinaya was long lost. A Theravada nun, bracket not a Bhikkhuni, observed 10 precepts instead of 250 plus precepts. Huh? Thank you. Let us, since you asked this type of question, that actually this type of question not really so useful for our meditation, but just for sake of understanding. I entertain it because not many questions. Other days, perhaps I won't able to entertain it. Now, Theravada tradition of Bhikkhuni. Now here you wrote here, Bhikkhunis Vinaya. It's not the Bhikkhunis Vinaya that is lost. Bhikkhunis Vinaya is still there. Yeah? It's the tradition of Bhikkhunis. It is said to be lost. It is lost since 10th or 11th century. So for the past, in the sense of like 10 centuries, there was no bhikkhuni because the lineage of ordination is lost. You see, to ordain a bhikkhuni, you must not a sile or a mechi and so on. This is what they call a female monk. To ordain a bhikkhuni, you need a group of female sangha. Okay, a female nun. Okay, a female nun. Female monks, a group of female monks. And also the male monks. All right, you must have two-sided ordination. It's two-part ordination. Whereas for the monk, you only need the male part of it only. The normal procedure how we do a monk ordination. So it is said that the tradition, the lineage is lost. The lineage is lost. Now, nowadays especially, there's so-called revival back again. Well, whether you ask me whether I'm a pro-cam or against cam, then don't know. I'm just telling you what is going on in the present only. Okay, I got my own personal understanding and personal views about it. Okay, this one is a bit more tricky. If I say yes, half of you, I say good, then half of you, and this is a hot water area. I try not to go into all this stuff, but I'm just telling you what is going on. Just give you a bit of understanding of what is going on in the present and also in the past. So in the present, there's a revival of this one. Whether you agree or don't agree, that's up to you. But there's a revival of it again. Okay. Because of that revival again, they, as I said earlier on, you need bhikkhunis to ordain a bhikkhuni, right? So where do you find a bhikkhuni? Because the lineage already lost. So again, here they find from the Mahayana bhikkhuni. Whether it's a proper ordination or not a proper ordination, then it's all subject to debate. Then you can debate until the cow comes home, then also it won't end. Yeah. So that one is subject to debate and so on. Yeah? Our own personal views about it. Now, here in the practice, You see, in the spiritual world, as in the spiritual world, uh, then um, female devotees or yogis, they also want to become nun. They also want to be free from themselves from all the worldly duties and worldly chores. So they take up a monastic life. Okay, they take up a monastic life. So when they take up a monastic life, okay, now here in the Theravada nun, not a bhikkhuni, but a Theravada nun, then they are supposed to take up either 8 precepts or the 10 precepts. The 8 precepts, you can handle money. Okay? The 10 precepts, you cannot handle the money. The 9th precept is what we chant in the 8th precept, it divided into 2 parts. Then I know. Then you have and the 10th one is the not handling money. So therefore, if you are not handling money, you need a steward or you need a kapia to handle the money for you. It could be the monastery, it could be your family members, and so on. The person that you trust, okay, to handle the funds for you. If you are taking the 8 precepts, then you are not necessary for you to have that. You can keep the money yourself. All right. Now, even once become a Theravada nun, even as a Sayale or as a Mechi and so on. Now, if you live a proper life, live a proper monastic life, and you keep your precepts, you keep your speech, you keep your thoughts, and you develop the mind again and again, then here you are just acting like what the bhikkhunis or the bhikkhus on the past are doing. They're striving. Yeah? They're doing all the wholesome deeds. So they want, if you can able to live that type of life, then it's wonderful. Even sometimes with that, people and devotees and monks also have admiration for you. Not only just because you are mechi or a sayale and then be looked down on you, no. But if you're able to conduct yourself well, whether you are 8 precepts or 10 precepts, or even let's say you have these 311 precepts for bhikkhuni, and if you can conduct yourself well in so many ways, then people will be having a faith in you or respect, admiration towards you. Yeah? But if you are a bhikkhuni, also you wear the robes and you conduct yourself like horribly, terribly, there are monks also like that, conduct themselves very bad and so on, then of course they lose respect. So the thing here is that whether you are a bhikkhuni or you're a nun, or a mechi or a sayale, uh, then as long as you able to develop the mind in the vipassana and also in the samatha, if you can able to develop the mind, then it'll be excellent. You'll be worth the time staying as a nun or staying as a monk. The whole sangha is developed. The monastic sangha, not the lay person only, But the monastic sangha, the Buddha developed it because to give you the time, to free yourself from all the chores, to free from yourself from the worldly aspect of things. You don't have to worry about food. Yeah? People offer you food. You don't have to be sheltered. People offer you shelter. You don't have to be clothing. People offer you clothing. Medication. People offer to you when you need it. So you don't have to worry about all these things where lay people have to worry. Yeah. So when you don't have that, it means time is on your side, right? Time is on your side. Not because you come to become a monk or a nun, because you have a heartache problem, or your husband run away, or lao liao, old already, just what to do already. Go monastic life lah, Not like that. Not all these things. There's all these TV series only. All this, all this wrong. The whole purpose is that because it creates the opportunity, the time. With the time, you mix with the right people, where the right people give you all the Dhamma and so on, then you develop the mind, you practice until enlightenment is achieved. That is what during in the time of the Buddha is doing. Nowadays, we are not doing, a lot of people are not doing that. A lot of people, even as a monk or a nun, they're not doing these type of things. A lot to do, maybe other things. Still wholesome, not to say it's totally unwholesome, still wholesome, but still miss out that main point, main area, the main in this one. So whether there's a nun, bhikkhuni, or nun, as long as to me, as long as you conduct yourself well, you develop the mind, then it's perfect already. To me, Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we keep it there. Okay. Don't next week follow up another question on bhikkhuni again. Then I'm having a problem because this thing is also in a way recorded in the there, the Facebook or YouTube. Okay, so this only a three from the yogis over here. So there are also a few from online also. Next one. All right. Next question. Sometimes some teachers use the term capturing the object, inverted comma, capturing the object as a way to note an object, implying that the noting needs to be fast and precise. Can you explain this in detail? Next one. If noting needs to be fast and precise while capturing an object, it seems that there's a lot of needs to be put, there's a lot of effort needs to be put in even when the mind is at optimum level, correct? Okay, let's talk about that first. Now, some teachers use the word capturing object, implying that noting needs to be fast and precise. In a way, it's true. In a way, it's true. Yeah. The way I use it, as I said, pay attention precisely, note it thoroughly, what is going on with the object. It's the same thing. They use a different words on it. But usually when as I said, paying attention or grasping an object, especially people who read, sometimes they don't explain further than that. Yeah. And a lot of times when you talk about this capturing object, paying attention to an object, it is good for beginners practitioner. It is good for them because the mind is running here and there. So what do they need? They need an object so that their mind can capture upon it, to hold upon it, to pay attention towards it. It is good. Then they pay attention to what is going on. But then when you go into a deeper aspect of development, capturing an object is the slightly different meaning. Yeah? Because you are talking about the dynamicness of the mind, of the attention. Not everything is slowed down and taking up like that. That's it, Whereas when it goes into a more advanced practice, capturing here means you keep on able to follow the object clearly. Yeah? You follow the object. That means you follow the object one after another. And and a lot of times you don't have to purposely make an effort to do it. Your effort is already at the optimum level already. Your effort and your clarity is already there. So all you need to do is just follow the object and observe what is going on. And you keep on following. Sometimes the object can be running from pain, pulling pain a bit, then it goes to the next one, biting pain, tearing pain, then it goes to rising, falling a little bit, then it goes to the chest area, pulling here, then it's going to thinking, planning, and then you come back again, the rising, falling thing. Yeah, that means while you're noting all these type of things happening, your mind is capturing the object or noticing the object, and it's going a bit more faster than normally what you do it in the beginning. So a lot of times, sometimes yogis, when they read certain things, I have the idea that because sometimes they are lack of practice, then the understanding of those words have become quite narrow. And become quite narrow of, oh, one capturing object means capture one object, an object ma. But when you develop further, as I said, objects changes faster, and as if like you are just touching here and there. But actually, that every moment you are capturing it and you're thorough with it. The mind is already know what to do with it. Yeah? Because you are in a more different level already. Yeah. So capturing object is what it meant over here. So to pay attention precisely, pay attention to it thoroughly. You use another words only lah, yeah. Uh, so don't be too try to capture. You already captured already. Don't squeeze it some more. Capture again here, like yesterday or the day before, I mentioned about it. Effort type. Some people take an object already. It's really clear. Then they want it to be even more clearer, and then drill into it. They drill into it. Then you are squeezing the whole object already, and then you end up with a lot of problem. So as long as the object is clear to you, then you are already at the optimum level already. Yeah. So with the question number 5 also, as long as you are noting the object, a lot of effort to be put in. Actually, it's true, the effort is there, but don't put in too much. Enough until object is clear enough, then it's perfect already. Don't overdo the whole thing. Okay. All right. Next one. Brother Teo, the L1 turn on to number 2. Chua liao. L1. L1. The bottom one, bottom. Can see. Dharma chair. Okay, number 2. Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, every time nowadays, I have to ask younger people when looking at numbers. You ask the older ones, every time they cannot see because they didn't bring their spec around. Also, the same thing in the past few retreats, also like that. Anyway, okay, next one. When a person is on the verge of death, one will be deluded or in so much pain. How can one focus well on meditation to be liberated from samsara world to the bliss of nibbana? Yeah. When a person is on the verge of death, one will be deluded or in so much pain. How can one focus well on meditation to be liberated from samsara world to the bliss of nibbana? Okay, okay. If we can, just cut off liberated from samsara to nibbana, the bliss of nibbana. Just meditation will do lah. When you're on the verge of death. Okay. All right. Now, perhaps there are people, there are people who are on the verge of death. Now, it could be sometimes something came up in the body, cancer, the doctor say, lagi 1 tahun, 1 more year, or 6 more months, or 3 more months, and then more or less it's this one. So, then this time their sense of urgency arises. Dying already, ma. Now it's not no more contemplation. Now it's real already. Now it's really like really hit hard into you already. Then sometimes on the verge of death, let's say you are trying to develop as best as you can. Now, these things once in a while, I've seen this before. There are yogis come in because they are on this one already. So with that happens, we try to be compassionate and teach them. We know that it's not easy for them because firstly, they have to deal with their big cancerous or whatever disease that they are going through. Next, you still have to think about your meditation. Now, let's say here you don't even have to think about your disease. Meditation is already so difficult already. It's not as easy as you think. But now you have combined with both, both burden. So it's not so it's not easy. But we admire their courage. We admire their courage. They do as best as you can, as much as you can. If you can withstand it during that time, all the pain that you may go through. But you don't expect that it's going to be things going to be normal like what you do and what other yogis are doing. Other yogis may not have this type of problem. You have this physical illness and so on. Then at times you may not able to meditate also. At times you need to rest or to bear up with all kinds of pain that is coming up. So these things, when you say it's on the verge of death, perhaps this verge is a bit longer. So you can still able to meditate, not to say you cannot meditate. But a lot of times, yogi tend to not just want nibbana. Actually, they want the pain, they want the disease to be free from those diseases. Mostly, they come in with this type of problem. They want to free from that disease first. Now, when we are on the verge of death, let's say you got dying already. At that moment of time, I've seen yogis in the past, not many, of course. Once in a while, they're on the verge of death. They're also quite well practiced. Quite well practiced. Not to say they don't, not they have some development, some insights during in the retreat. Now, when it comes to the verge of death, then what are we going to do with them? They try to be mindful. They try to be alert. At that time, it's not easy for them to able to meditate as what we are doing right now. You know that even when you are at home, you also cannot even meditate like right now what we're doing over here. What more you are in the verge of death. So, during the verge of death, what we can do only is that we are able to try to be mindful and keep the mind away from all the unwholesome thoughts, and try to keep the mind to a wholesome thoughts, or try to be mindful of the present. It's easier said than done, because I've noticed also when you're dying, or some people are dying, then the mind is not clear. The mind is sometimes, due to the pain, they have to use morphine, and then that makes the mind very blur like that. Sometimes they are half awake, half not so awake. Some of them are quite awake. Some of them are quite calm. So now, this time it will be good if you have a good friend or a Kayana Mita beside you, or somebody who understands the Dhamma. Here, the somebody that understands the Dhamma, you have to give prompters. You have to prompt the person to stir up their mind. That is to say, perhaps, that if the mind can still be alert a little bit, then you help the person to recall back to something good that they have done. Perhaps they offer a monk's robe. Perhaps they meditated. Perhaps they've gone from meditation after meditation. Perhaps they've done a lot of dana or sila and so on. So you kind of like prompt them. Again and again, you prompt them. You prompt them for them to recall. Yeah? If this person likes to, say, do a bit of chanting, they like chanting. So perhaps sometimes do a bit of chanting for them. Some people doesn't mean that all Buddhists like chanting, Not all Buddhists like chanting. But chanting is part of the thing at the end of the verge of death. So here, sometimes if they are familiar with this type of voices, when they hear it, it prompts them to recall back to the wholesome states of mind. So you help them to pull the mind back. It's not easy for them to go into pull to recall all these type of things. Yeah? Sometimes if you are sick and your mind is already blur, like the body is like no energy, terrible going, and then try to note the mind and see whether you can recall anything or not. So it's difficult to recall. Yeah? A few years ago, I have food poisoning. It comes with fever and all that, then it completely flat. The mind also is not so easy to recall. I mean, I'm trying to be mindful. I know. What do I try to recall, try to be mindful, and so on? Well, it's taken a strong effort now. But after that, because of the bodily problem, and then after that, you go blur again. Uh. So if you have on the verge of dying, if you have somebody beside you, if you have, then try to recall it, to help the person to recall all these type of things. Or perhaps that if there are monks around or people around, then you invite the person to come over, so that at that moment when he's or she is clear enough, to make him to do some offerings and so on. At least there is some present action, a present action without needing to recall, but a present action that you do something wholesome, then to make him or her to rejoice. And hopefully with that type of memory, and she can able to hold on to it, and then if she pass away or he pass away with that, that would be a good rebirth, a better rebirth. Yeah. So so on the verge of death, a lot of things we cannot do anymore. We can only do some, I mean, if we ourselves on the verge of death, sometimes a lot of things we cannot do anymore. Yeah? So don't wait until there. For the person who asked the question, don't wait until death. I know you cannot, sometimes we cannot convince all our loved ones to go and meditate. Not all our loved ones, all our family members want to go meditate. You go meditate at cheese in a way. You're crazy. I keep on go meditating for so long. There's something wrong with you. Yes. So the thing is that sometimes we see people on the verge of death and so on. Then we know that these things is they're missing out a chance. So we try to convince people when they're alive and so on. But honestly, we cannot convince everybody, even our loved ones. Uh, Sometimes it's just like that. We try our best, but it's just like that. So when it comes to the verge of death, then a lot of things we cannot help them. You tell them meditation, they don't even know what is meditation. First of all, maybe we just to tell them to do some recall something good, something more simple, in that sense. So that's about it only, the way I look at it. Uh, uh, what else? I'm not good at all this death one. You see, that sometimes people think monks are like, the saikong, Like people when they die, then they have all these things, ting ting tong 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 chang 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 chang. We are not that. But there are monks who are professional in this type of things. They are very, very good in this type of things, but I'm not. Once in a while, I attend, once in a while, devotees, close devotees, I attend a funeral, do a bit of chanting. But I tell you honestly, I'm not a pro in this area. Well, but with that, with this understanding, with this little limited understanding that I have, then with a bit of wisdom that I have, then I look at the situation, what can be done if I'm on that, on the dying side, Yeah. So this is about all I can say, on the verge of death. A lot of verge of death. Uh, okay, let me see what else. All right, nothing else. That's it. And no more questions. All right, so we call it a night. Huh? Okay, we continue the Dhamma talk on Monday again. All right, we share merits. Idang me bhavanang nibbanasa pachayo hotu. May my mental cultivation be a condition for the realization of Nibbana. Imang no punya bhagang sabba satanang dema. We share these merits with our departed ones, with all beings and all the devas. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu anumodantu. May all beings be happy. May they rejoice in these merits. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.